I have egg, sausage, chips and beans, and a tea?
Listen.
What?
I'll tell you one thing.
What?
I'll tell you one thing.
Tell us one thing. Tell us one thing.
This is nothing like our supper usually, is it?
This is
It's
true.
good fun.
This is true.
Isn't it? Usually we're chatting away.
That is a simple
enjoying
fact.
ourselves.
That is a simple fact.
Have a glass of milk, please.
What?
No, that's a glass of milk.
Why not?
Whose is that?
Hooray! How do you know this isn't yours?
Yes, because it hasn't got peas on it.
Well, this has got ham on it. I ordered it.
That's what you ordered, mate. You ordered tomatoes as well.
Is this your milk, Rick?
Yeah.
Can I drink it?
No.
Right.
I wouldn't argue to.
You can have a sip.
Why not, man?
What? You think
Pete,
it's
when's the
bad?
shop opening?
I don't think the equipment could take over. We do rely on it a lot. I mean, we couldn't do what we do as we do it without it. We could still do a good, entertaining musical show, I suppose, without it. But all those things are down to how you control them and whether you're controlling them and not the other way around.
It's just a question of using the tools that are available when they're available. And more now, there's all kinds of electronic goodies which are available for people like us to use, if we can be bothered. And we can be bothered.
It's all extensions of what's coming out of our heads. I mean, you've got to remember that you've got to have it inside your head to be able to get it out at all anyway. I mean, the equipment isn't actually thinking of what to do any of the time. It couldn't control itself.
Can I put this down? It's just on the first note.
Hang on, say that again.
Can I put this down?
Just a second, we're just...
I still got finishing the other track.
Okay.
Stay cool.
Turn the volume down.
It would be interesting to see exactly what 4 people could do if just given the equipment who didn't know anything about it really and just told them to get on with it and do something. I think we'd come off better.
It's like saying, give a man a Les Paul guitar and he becomes Eric Clapton, you know? And it's not true. And give a man an amplifier and a synthesizer and he doesn't become whoever either. He doesn't become us.
I will.
What's this film you've been working on?
You ought to know, you're the director.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll?
Oops.
Tell us a bit about it. Pull yourself together, David.
I can't. Oh dear, God, what terrible. It's a film being made in Pompeii, mostly in Italy.
What's it about?
And it's about the Pink Floyd, of course.
Are you fairly happy about the film?
What do you mean happy?
Well, I mean, do you feel that it's going in a direction which is interesting or not?
What do you mean interesting?
Hello, Mum.
Hey,
Hello, Dad.
Christ, just the oysters are good, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes, there's good oysters here, aren't there?
Yes.
Yes.
There's good oysters here. Seems to be the right season of year.
Bit of grit on
The
your
oysters
tongue,
all right.
The oysters are very good.
Yes, this time of year.
Well, they're French oysters.
Well, I don't know what nationality they are.
I like to think that oysters transcend national barriers, Adrian.
And it's a danger that we could become slaves of all our equipment. And in the past we have been. But what we're trying to do is to sort it all out so that we're not. But I agree, I mean, it's a danger, it worries me sometimes that we have this so much equipment and you can hide behind it.
If I heard somebody saying that, I'd like to say, okay, well, you know, if we were at a gig, it'd be quite nice sometimes to say, okay, go on, there it is. Get stuck in. In fact, you can open the show. There's going to be 4,000 people in here in half an hour. Get up there and knock them out, man. And they'd then say, oh, but we don't know the equipment and we'd need time to rehearse. And so we say, yeah, well, so did we, about 4 or 5 years.
To some extent, we're trying to simplify it out a little now and make it make the logistics of it a little more organised. So it's, I mean, it has been a bit sort of Heath Robinson, a bit the mad scientist laboratory on the stage.
made a lot of money working with the Floyd.
Depends who you compare it to. Really?
What to say, before working yourself?
Oh, yeah. Before working with them, I was on a very, very paltry sort of amount of earnings. I mean, breadline and less.
When the great economic collapse happens, it's going to happen right across the board. I don't think rock and roll will go first. I mean, the market at the moment in rock and roll is expanding at a phenomenal rate. People are constantly saying, you know, rock's dying. You know, every 6 months somebody says it with enormous conviction. It's not going to happen.
Unfortunately, really, we mark a sort of era. I mean, we're in danger in becoming a relic of the past. And for some people, we represent their childhood of 1967. I mean, the Underground in London, the free concert in Hyde Park, and so on.
Can you get me a milk, please?
Could you get me a fruit pie and cream? And not a corner piece.
Yes,
I'd like
please.
some tea, please.
I'd like some pie and not the crust.
I don't care what bit I get.
One without crust.
Ooh, I like a bit of crust. Rick, are you doing a rundown from D to the B before the actual singing starts in the middle eight? Da da da. Aren't you doing that one?
Shall I do it?
Yes. That's the one.
Steve's got one. To the oh, it's
Let's do something. Yes, sir. Could you go up there and get another apple pie with ice cream and no crust?
Could I have an apple pie without a crust? Just the middle piece. We got any middle pieces? Pardon?
The round apple pies.
Only got the round apple pies now, Nick. What do you want to do about it?
Go on.
Go without.
St. Joseph, Lockwood.
Do you want one?
No, thank you, Christopher.
No, thank you.
rather none than a round one. Or one.
All that media stuff is all very irrelevant. It's people, if people come to a concert and they don't like it, they don't come again.
It's an image we'd like to dispel. I think it was very heavy a few years ago, but it's not so bad since, but I still think that most people think of us as a very drug-oriented group. Of course we're not. You can trust us.
And are you trying to shake this image off?
Well, we're not exactly it's not that we're trying to shake an image off, but we're doing other things. Because we want to do other things.
frowning, Bob?
Look, I'm trying to ask serious questions. What's going on? Do oysters put you in a good mood for working?
I don't know. Well, they certainly seem to, don't they, Rog?
Morning, Bob.
This is ridiculous.
There's no good coming in here trying to be serious,
I'm
is it?
losing my
Grip.
grip on things.
Somebody out there dying. You're choking now.
Alright. Okay.
Someone's choking.
Right. No. Do oysters put you in a good mood for working?
Adrian, look, this has
Why
got
don't you
to
ask
stop.
that
This
again?
attempt to elicit conversation out of the chaps is doomed to failure. They know you're trying to get them to talk.
And they're not.
Don't
Now,
you, boys?
if you just spoke to us naturally, as if we were having a natural conversation, we said in a very loud voice.
Oh, there's some
I
difficult
don't know what
moments.
you mean by that.
Are there some difficult moments? Yes.
You don't know what David means, or you don't know what.
I don't know what Adrian means by that.
Well, then you're fucking thick. If you'll pardon my friend.
I know what you're digging at.
I mean, what do you want to know about it? I mean, obviously they're all a gang of idiots, but, you know, live and let live.
Yeah.
Right, rock on.
Why?
Because we've been together for such a long time, we've definitely passed various peaks of disagreement and worked out methods of living with each other and getting on well with each other. I mean, we're happy together. We don't work, and that's it. We're not held together simply by the bond of success or money or whatever.
It's not very important.
No.
It's not me. Don't waste any film on him.
He is only...
Smile, Chris, and wave.
What's the French for he is only a
Say
road
hello,
manager?
Mum. Go on, Chris.
There are not any problems or strains?
Yes,
or...
of course there are.
How do you get around them?
We pretend they're not there. We certainly don't face up to them in an adult way, if that's what you mean. Sense of humour.
We don't live together, we live miles apart.
You've been going together for a long time.
We work
Yes.
together. We haven't been going together.
Going steady.
We work together occasionally.
We have a great understanding of each
Whenever we
other
run out of money.
and tolerance.
Which is regular.
So, I suppose it's a question of money.
Adrian.
That's all it is, Adrian.
Adrian, you're being very provocative. I'm trying to be very provocative.
Well, I'll do my best, but...
Well, we refuse to rise.
Right. Quite. Certainly not to jibe like that.
I don't know, we understand each other very well, we're very tolerant with each other. But there are a lot of things unsaid as well, I feel, sometimes.
How do you get over the difficult times?
Well, they're not that difficult. And we do. I don't know how we get over it, but we do.
We're all from the British aristocracy, with the exception of David Gilmour, and all our mothers are countesses and things like
dukes
that.
and duchesses.
Yeah,
But
and
my
they
mother
just
was extremely nouveau riche and she bought all the equipment.
well, when David joined the group, you see, when Sid left, we went to David's mother and we said, "Look, we'd like your son to join the group. You'll have to front a lot of equipment." And I mean, that's how we got all our equipment. I mean, it is very easy. It's just a matter of picking.
So, in fact, anybody can do it.
Oh, anybody. Well, except they have to have a great deal of money.
Yes.
We don't need anything else. We don't need
No
anything.
talent, no musical ability.
No musical training required.
That's what they said to Berlioz. Got all those singers together.
That's what they said to Beethoven. The only reason he carried on was because he was stone deaf.
Yeah, right. Berlioz is right.
He thought, I know, I'll get a great,
I know what
bloody
I'll do.
great
I'll get
echo
1,000
chamber.
musicians and put them all in a big church and 1,000 singers.
Yeah,
It's
bloody
gotta
millions
sound
of
good.
them.
No, but seriously, I mean, do you think you need any talent at all to produce those sort of
Why are you laughing?
Well, why aren't there millions and millions of imitators of the Pink Floyd sound? Why isn't everyone else as
people out there
successful?
doing it? Don't tell me they can't scrape the bread together to buy an amplifier. Oh, rubbish.
Rubbish. We only started off with about 10 bobs worth of gear.
Your tone controls, Dave?
Nope.
You altered your volume control?
I don't think so. Why? What's different?
Didn't sound quite as toppy.
What?
Didn't sound quite as toppy.
It didn't sound as toppy?
No.
Well, it must have been as toppy.
Okay.
If the only thing it could have possibly did is less toppy. I mean, more toppy, rather.
We all know that you're God Almighty, Roger.
That isn't an answer.
Send for Les Braden.
No, Steve, you're jolly good at your job and everything, but there's no way you could ever produce a record, so it's silly of you to try.
No, rubbish.
I don't think it's true. I mean, if you take a crappy enough group, and they've only got 12 songs.
That's what we're talking about.
Oh, well, you're talking about producing works of art, I mean, or whatever, or Pink Floyd records. I mean, that's only about 0.01% of the market. There's plenty of other crap going on.
No, we're not. We're not talking about that at all. We're talking about a record producer is somebody who is in charge of a recording session, right?
Yeah,
and in order to be in charge of a recording session, you need to have a kind of not minimal, you need to have a fairly extensive knowledge of what the equipment's about and what music is about and what rock and roll's about. Well, Steve knows what rock and roll's about. He's got no idea what the equipment's about, and he's got very little idea in terms of kind of technicalities what the music's about. He knows what he likes.
Plenty of people have produced records on that basis.
On
It's a very successful record.
Right.
Who? In the finished article, the only thing that is important is whether it moves you or not. There's nothing else is important at all.
I can't get over the sibilance of the vocals on Obscured by Cloud. I never play that record.
You're obviously in the wrong business.
Oh, well, that was a bad cut. That's got nothing to do with the production of the album. that was a bad cut. And if you listen to the second string of pressings, you'll find that that sibilance isn't there. Well, if you can still hear sibilance on the second string of pressings, you've got an extremely overactive imagination, because there isn't any.
We have some pretty good arguments from time to time, yes.
And you managed to get over them?
Yep, we're pretty durable.
We do have infighting. But you mean without actually exploding? We share the same sense of humour to some extent. We lust after money to some extent. And we have a lot of interest in what we're doing together. We can still combine our interests. I think that's really when the thing breaks down, is when maybe just one person finds that what he's doing doesn't interest him, or he feels that he could do something better by himself.
We did have some very difficult times, like a few years ago. We seem to have managed to avoid the things that really get people too touchy these days.
You mean the worst things go unsaid?
Yeah.
You mentioned lust for money as being one of the main drives.
Only jovially. Naturally, for less money-minded people would be hard to find.
Feedback job.
Don't worry about that. Christ. Where would rock and roll be without feedback?
Play the key. There's someone in my head, but it's not me.
We run back and drop in a bit.
Yeah, you can if you like. Just turn it down a bit. I mean, I didn't really make a specific mistake, but...
Turn it down?
Yeah, I can't... My guitar's too loud. Yeah.
Do you want to hear the other one?
No.
You want to hear the other one too?
No.
And every day the paper boy brings more.
We're go. Altitude 1600. Eagle looking great. Roger, 1202, we copy it. 35 degrees, 750, down nicely, 200 feet, 4.5 down, 5.5 down. 100 feet, 3.5 down, 9 forward. Okay, 75 feet, car's looking good, down a half. 6 forward, 60 seconds. Lights on, forward, forward. 40 feet down, 2.5. Picking up some dust. Straight shadow. 4 forward, drift into the right a little. 30 seconds forward, drift. Contact light. Okay, engine stop. The Eagle has landed.
turns around. Counting the leaves which tremble at dawn. Lotuses lean on each other in yearning. Under the leaves the swallow is resting. Set the controls for the heart of the sun. Over the mountain, watching the watcher. Breaking the darkness, waking the grapevine. 1 inch of love is 1 inch of shadow. Love is the shadow that ripens the wine. Set the controls for the heart of the sun. miss the man who raves at the wall. Making the shape of his question to heaven. Whether the sun will fall in the evening, will he remember the lesson of giving? Set the controls for the heart of the sun.
Do you think that you're going round in circles, or do you think that
we don't feel as though we're going round in circles, but I mean it's always possible that we are. I mean we may suddenly, like the man in the desert, come across our footsteps and think, my God, it's all a mistake. But I mean that's not the way we feel about it, obviously, at all.
I think that's jolly unfair. I think we're ever so progressive and we evolve ever such a lot between every record.
We have a very recognisable... Right, anyone who listens to us will know it's the Floyd. Whereas anyone who listens to many other bands will know they're playing blues or they're playing this or that.
I mean, they can say anything they want, can't they?
Yes, but do you think they're right?
No, of course I don't think they're right. I mean, who are they to say whether anything is enough or not enough about anything? Particularly about our records.
Well, they're the people that buy the records, I mean...
Well, the people who buy the records can listen to the record and decide whether it's evolved enough for them to want to buy it. If it hasn't, they don't have to buy it, do they?
Albatross upon the air. Overhead the albatross hangs motionless upon the air, and deep beneath the rolling waves, in labyrinths of coral caves, the echo of a distant time comes willowing across the sand, and everything is green and submarine. I went out in one place, didn't I?
We'll listen to it. We'll just check it out.
I think the good times are passing by. They're carrying on, and they will continue to carry on, I suspect. I don't think rock and roll's dead, no. Or dying.
Thank you.